Hey yo, welcome to Beyond the Mat, where it's all about the things and stuff. It's like this and like that, sitting in a lotus seat. We breathe deep from our heads to our feet till we feel inner heat. A little bit of rhythm for your soul, stretching out your minds from your head to your toes. We in our flow state, we don't know no hate. We into feeling great though, so we correlate. Coil snake gonna rise, sunshine. We take our time to appreciate divine grace. It takes place in a pace in them inner states. From a country road down to the interstate, we contemplate this. We here to make this. We here to break this. But we never fake this. We never hate kids. We in the love vibe. Me and my whole tribe, we gonna try to be fly with the sunshine. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to Beyond the Mat, where all things are possible, and all non-things are also possible, and also impossible. This show is brought to you by me and my wacky artwork that I am selling. So hop on over to jcoleyoga.ca to buy your print. Do it right now. I'll wait here for you. Waiting, still waiting. Okay, today's show is brought to you by the number 17 and the color gray. As I look out at an overcast sky, wondering where the sun has gone, now that I am ready to go outside and play. My old friend Melissa Harvey dropped in today to deliver some perspective on how to, air quotes, keep it real, having a life in balance, and learning to mind one's own business. Melissa is an entrepreneur business owner working with mental illness clients. She is a loving mother, and we get into some topics about being yourself and the usual yoga diets, current events, aliens, and the existential dread. Ladies and gents, make some noise for Melissa Harvey. Welcome to the show. This is called Beyond the Mat, and we're talking with my good friend, old friend, Melissa Harvey. And Melissa is here today to talk about, I have no idea, we're just kind of shooting the shit. We're catching up.
Cool.
We haven't talked in a long ass time. And so you just mentioned before the show your clients, and that's why I wanted to start the show right away before we talk any more about it.
Yeah.
What are your clients? What's happening?
So I purchased a special care home a year and a half ago. And my clients that I have, they all need like full-time care. So I live on site, and about 90% would be mental health, and then the other 10% would be special needs. Wow. Yeah.
That's amazing. And you own, you own the residence, I guess.
I own it. It's a special care home, like residence, foyer, like they're all kind of the same thing. It's been open for 35 years, or it was when I bought it, so it's almost 37 years now. So they already had like an existing client base, but I've kind of changed the direction of what the previous owners were doing. So I'm going more towards special needs.
Right.
And that's kind of where my heart's at. So all of my clients that are here now, they're definitely like family to me. I adore them. Yeah. And I really love what I'm doing.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. That warms my heart hearing shit like that. That's awesome. Geez, I had when I was living in Shediac in New Brunswick, there was an ad online to work in a special care home, and it was a level 3 home. Okay. And I was like, I thought about it. I was like, yeah, that'd be kind of cool. I was like, the pay is good, and it was like $25 an hour. So I was like, okay. And I went in, and I met the girl who worked there now, and she was the one who was leaving, but she was in charge of hiring the new person. And then I had to meet all the residents and see if we jived or whatever. And everything worked out great. Like everyone was very like friendly, and I don't know. I have that kind of personality, I guess. And yeah, then she was like, well, everyone likes you. She's like, I really like to get you in and do some training and all that. And I was like, cool. And then she's like, it's been really hard trying to find someone to come in here to work for such a low wage. And I was like, well, $25 an hour is not that low, it's New Brunswick. And this is back in 2014, 2013. And she goes, oh no, it's only and it was minimum wage or whatever. It was only $9 an hour or something. And I was like, whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
And it was basically
I was blown away when you said $25 an hour. But the thing is that sometimes when you get into level 3, it can be really, well, I don't deal with level 3. I'm just level 1 and 2. Level 3, you're getting in a whole different ball game basically of needs and what they need from you.
Yeah, exactly.
So sometimes it does pay more, but sometimes it really doesn't. And previously in New Brunswick, you didn't need a course, but now they're getting people you need an actual course or certificate. And then finally now the province has given people like me who runs and operates one of these facilities, they've given us extra money to be able to pay the workers more money.
Right. That's
because
awesome.
They deserve it. I know for myself, I put in 14-hour days, and as a business owner, you don't always pay yourself.
Yeah.
But I know for anyone that's coming in that does work for me, I mean, they're worth every penny because it's really it's extremely rewarding, but it's also extremely demanding. Especially when you're dealing with people with mental illness all day. Not that it's different so much from the people with special needs, but every mental illness could be that you could have 5 people with the same diagnosis, but each person is still unique, and it takes a lot for you to get through your day and stay super chipper all day, and because that's how you want to be. So I think that the people that work in these types of facilities, they should be $25 and more.
Definitely.
It's quite an amazing job. Yeah.
And especially since you need a course now on top of that kind of has to help the wages go up to pay for that kind of stuff. And I mean,
yeah, for sure.
Well, being that level 3 place in Shediac, I totally thought, I was like, there's no way you're going to find someone. I mean, they're kind of maybe preying on super good-hearted people who are who would just come in and fall in love with the people and be like, oh, I have to do this. And I was like, shit. At the time, I was trying to get out of debt and everything. And I was like, I can't. Well, first of all, I can't work for minimum wage. I'm not going back down to that. And then also, it takes up so much of your time. These were 60-hour or more work weeks, and there's spending the night, and then there's all the other things that come along with it. The little, the nitty gritties, the dirty poopy times, and everything like that. And you're like, oh.
Well, I'm definitely blessed, or however you would like to phrase that, in my situation, because we do not have anyone in that situation.
Right.
I don't deal with anything like that. Everybody here is super independent, can, leave and go do activities on their own or go to the store or whatever. And it's just that you might not even know if you met them.
Hello? Hey.
I'm not sure what happened there. I lost you for a second.
Yeah, you totally cut out.
You there?
Yeah. So the last thing you said was that you might not totally know.
Might not what? Sorry, you cut out.
Oh, the last thing that you said was you might not totally know, and then it just kind of, the line went dead.
I don't know what I was saying there. Sorry, because the line went dead for a second. My daughter called from school, so now I'm mom brain.
Oh no! Is everything okay? Do you need?
Everything's cool. Yeah, no, it's all good. She was just calling because my mom's on her way to go pick her up for an appointment. She was just checking in. So
mom life, Mom life.
Yeah.
Woo! How's that treating you?
Mom life is amazing. My little girl is going to be 12 next month.
Wow.
So yeah.
12.
It's bizarre to me because most of my best friends are all having babies right now.
Yeah.
And my daughter just took her babysitting course. So we're on different planes, on different levels in life,
Yeah. Well, hey, she'll be making a killing there with all your friends and their babies.
Yeah. I don't feel like I had my daughter at a young age. I was 26 when she was born. But in this generation, it kind of was, you know. I guess it was because most of my girlfriends, like I say, like Christelle and Franz, like they're all in their early to mid 30s and they're just having their kids now. So, but it's really nice for me because I'm not having any more kids. So I get this like exposure to everybody else's kids, and it's nice to be the auntie.
And you got to be like the first one. You
pretty much.
The pioneer of momhood amongst the circle. Yeah. Cool. So, I don't know. I kind of have some topics that I stick to on my show a little bit. Are you at all into yoga? Is that anything you've ever done? Awesome.
I do some yoga, but I've gone to a few classes here, and there's a few different studios, and one more specifically, I just didn't feel the vibe, so to say. Like, I just didn't feel it in there, and for me, like, it's kind of a personal thing, and when I want to do it, I just kind of do it myself, if that makes sense.
Oh, totally. I do not ever, well, I'm an instructor, and I write my own classes, like my own hour-long or more 90-minute classes, but like I don't ever go to another class. I follow Yoga with Adrienne on YouTube, and she's amazing.
Yoga with Adrienne?
Yeah. And
that's who I like too. Yeah.
Oh, she's the best.
Cool.
The best.
Yeah, she's good. I like that you can follow like her guides and the 30-day, like, you know, certain things. It's pretty cool.
The 30-day challenges are pretty cool. They do those once a year. And you can build your own challenge. And she does an email newsletter, and she emailed out a whole 30-day set of just old videos, and she just plugged them into every date of this whole month. So I've been kind of following along with those. So nice. But some of them are like only like 15, 20 minutes long. And some mornings, I need a lot more than that. I need like an hour or something. So I'll watch like 3 or 4 of her videos and just follow that. And then maybe I'll mix in my own kind of shit here and there. And the coolest thing about yoga for me was entering that flow state. I don't know if you've ever like achieved that, but it's just this incredible like mind totally detached from body, yet somehow are still working together in like a perfect unison, and you're like doing this whole, it's like a dance that you don't have to think about.
I don't think I've achieved it, but it sounds like something I would enjoy.
And you know what? I equate it to with like rapping on stage. There's this there's this thing that happens where like your mind steps out of yourself. So like your body is there and you're like blah 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 blah, and you're going a mile a minute, all these words, but then your mind is like, did I say that word right? Oh, look, there's my friend Bob out in the crowd. Oh, Bob got a new hat. Right. I wonder what that guy's doing at the bar. You know, and you're thinking all this shit, but in the meantime your body is like blah 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 blah. You're just like shooting off, and like you're just in this weird zone. And I kind of equate it to that, which is interesting. Cool. Very interesting.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And do you still rap? Like, is this something that you're still doing?
You know what? Once in a while, I'll like, it just inspiration hits and I gotta write something down. But like, I'm not like actively pursuing it or anything like that. It's just kind of a fun little side thing to do. I made a cool little rap for this show for Beyond the Mat, so that'll be playing at the first or at the end of the show. And that's really one of the most recent things I did. I did a verse on Nails' new album.
You're cutting out there.
What's that?
You're cutting out.
Oh, sorry. I did a verse on Nails' new album, on Andy's latest album. But something got screwed up in the transfer, so I gotta redo it. But yeah, I don't know. Once in a while, I'll do like audio projects, and I still do audio engineering for different artists. So I'm not totally out of the loop, but I am out of the loop. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you anything about the state of music or hip hop or anything today. And in fact, I've kind of gone like completely fucking sideways. And I'm really into Katy Perry right now.
I think I remember you posting something about that before, and I remember being like puzzled, like, really? I do like her, but I just did not expect that from you.
No. And I mean, I've like, only been into hip hop my whole life, and I feel like I've
Yeah.
missed out on so much other good music out there. And I think that happens to a lot of people. We get stuck in like
Absolutely.
one thing. And
I think for me, like having a preteen, I hear an awful lot of rap and hip hop music coming out of her room. Like, I wouldn't have known who Cardi B is until, like, I mean, now she's more mainstream, but my daughter was listening to it before I even knew who she was, which is funny because that would have been me at her age, you know? So all this mainstream hip hop and all these different things, it's anyways, it's not Salt and Pepper, this Cardi B, I can tell you that.
oh, I know all about
the
Cardi
language
B.
is not great, but
she came from Instagram. She was an Instagram famous, and she was like a prostitute, and that's how she became famous, from just like telling it like it is, you know. She's like, I gets paid, I get money.
She was a stripper,
and stripping too.
And so that's one of her main lines. She's like, I don't dance now, I make money moves. And I hear this coming out of my daughter's mouth one day, and I'm like, I need to go check out what this is. You know, but I mean, I can remember being her age when Salt and Pepper's album, I can't remember what it's called,
like push it real
Talk
good.
About Sex came out.
Talk About Sex, yeah.
But when we were listening to Push It, I don't think I knew what the heck she was talking about. I thought it was dance move. So I'm going to hope that this money moves line is the same thing as the Push It. Like, I'm hoping, but I don't know. It's tough being a mom and cool all at the same time.
You're already like 1,000 steps ahead of most moms out there, because, you know, you've already like investigated. You're like, yo, what's that shit she's listening to? I better look into this.
Yeah, I have to.
So that's
I mean,
cool.
I give her the freedom to go online, and like she goes on different apps and different things, but I have full access to everything. Like, nothing's going unnoticed, you know?
Yep.
And I think for me, I've always been the person that I could literally hear a song once and then I know all the words. So she takes after me musically, so I have to watch, because I don't want her to say that, like, not knowing, you know, if it's bad or good or whatever. Like, it's hard to shelter your kid who's got the same taste for the music that you had, right?
Exactly.
So
yeah.
If I listen to old school hip hop, she's like, "How do you know those songs?" And I'm like, because that's what I listened to growing up.
They've been playing for 30 or more years now.
Yeah. She's a pretty cool kid. Yeah.
Cool. I have a niece who's like 12 or 13, and it's the same thing. They keep her super, like, you know, like, she doesn't even have a Facebook account. Like, she's not allowed to have. She has like a Snapchat or some shit like that with her friends, but she's not. There's a bunch of shit she's not allowed to have.
The Snapchat is what worries me more than any of those applications or apps, whatever.
Because it disappears. It goes away, and you're like, what did they say? What's happening? But I mean, I don't know. We used to have telephones that we would call our friends on the telephone, and that shit was gone as soon as you said it. There was no replay. Yep. There was no, like, it was like...
That you're right. I never really looked at it like that. But I feel that what's different there is that those are words. You can forget or misconstrue or change the words, but if something was sent that was inappropriate, like a picture or received...
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just so dangerous, like, for all this stuff. And
yeah, and I mean, not to worry you or anything, but there's apps you can get that do like video capture. So like, I have one on my phone. As soon as I hit video capture, it records my entire screen. It records all the audio and everything. I mean, I use it for podcasting and stuff, but it could be used for malicious intents, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah. We won't stress out about that too much.
No. Keep it light. Keep it light.
Yeah.
So what's your nutrition and diets like? Are you into any of these crazy like diet regimens that are out there? I mean, I got into this shit when I lived in Los Angeles. I was like, oh, I'm going to be one of these fucking LA freaks and get into this weird diet shit that they're all on. And
I was doing that, and I was like juicing, and I've got like, I watched the documentary, I think it's Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. Yeah. So I got really into the juicing, and then I was, really clean eating. For me, like, a couple of my friends are doing the keto. It's just too intense, like, to say I can't have a potato or I can't have some pasta. And especially with my 12-year-old, I'm going to watch that because she's watching everything I'm doing. So if I go on yo-yo diets, she's going to think this is normal, right? So for me, my biggest thing is just to try and eat as clean as possible and whole foods. Yeah. That's, you know.
Do you have a garden?
That's just the goal, I suppose.
You guys must have a garden. You must plant stuff out there. I
do, and I had a huge vegetable garden last year, and then it's not nice enough outside just yet for that. But I was thinking this year, because I'm quite busy with my business, is that what I might do is container gardening. Like I'm going to have, they all love tomatoes, for example, so I'm going to have a lot of tomatoes, a huge wraparound porch, so I'll kind of have. Are you there?
Yeah. Sorry, you just cut out again for some reason.
Okay, cut out there.
So
so I'm going to do container gardening, and I'm going to do a raised box above ground gardening.
Right.
It's just so much easier for me because there's a lot of critters here. So, and then as well, if the residents who are older want to get involved, there's just not a lot of leaning over.
Right.
So I like to do it convenient wise. Yeah.
It's a little easier to fence those in too. You don't have to fence in a whole property. You can just cover up like the box itself.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got those.
A few years ago, I was before this job, I was the director of the homeless shelter here, and that's what we were doing. Like, you know, teaching them all about sustainability and like how to, you know, when they leave the shelter, how to go forward and do this on your own. So we taught them how to use the gardens, and there we did it in the ground. But then the Rotary Club here got wind of it, so I went there and did a presentation with them, and we teamed with them and part of the city here, and then we put in above ground box gardens that were high enough and wide enough apart that even someone in a wheelchair could access. So it's pretty amazing, like when they did that, or when we did that, I suppose, because not only like it fed the homeless shelter, it fed like the soup kitchens, it fed everybody in the city. So it was a pretty cool thing to do, and they're just so much easier to sustain when you're not around, having them raised versus, like you said, like fencing in like certain sections and things like that.
Yeah. We have them in our front yard here that were just built, and so there's like I think 6 to 8 of them, and then so it's a place it's a place to plant vegetables. But there's a crazy deer problem here. And I mean, deer aren't a problem, but like they're a problem because they'll crash right in through your backyard. They jump over fences. They eat everything. They're like little monsters destroying all the vegetables everywhere. They eat the tree leaves, everything. And there's tons of them too. And they're not scared of people. They're not scared of cats and dogs. They're not scared of cars. They're just like totally getting like domesticated, and they come in and they're like the raccoons, the little trash pandas.
It's like I don't even know what you'd have to like literally fence in that small little space.
Yeah, so you gotta like, well, that's why I was saying like each box has its own fence over it.
Oh wow, okay.
Instead of fencing in the whole yard.
Here we don't have a whole, like we have a lot of moose in New Brunswick.
Yeah. And
you do see some deer, but that's more, it's not really in the area of where I'm living, but I mean, I'm sure that could be an issue as well. But where you are, you see them often, or like this is like a big thing for you guys? Like you see them all the time?
Yeah, it's like they're like a plague.
Wow.
They're beautiful creatures. I'm vegan. I don't kill animals. I don't want to hurt them or anything.
Sure. Yeah.
But like, y'all are eating my food now. Like, get out of here. There's a huge forest. There's enough forest in this island for them to not have to eat our vegetables. That's kind of the issue. But
how long have you been vegan?
2.5 years, I guess, maybe 3 years.
And like, did you transition from being a vegetarian to becoming a vegan, or was it just like straight to that?
Well, yes and no. I kind of went. The first thing I wanted to try was gluten-free. I wanted to cut out all the gluten. Mm-hmm. So I went home and I looked in my cupboard and I started reading the ingredients lists on the boxes of everything. Yeah. And I'm like, fuck, there's wheat in everything. And I mean, there's wheat and shit that there shouldn't be wheat. Like you'll read like on the label of an ice cream container, contains wheat. Yeah. And it's like, why is there wheat in the ice cream? Because it's a really cheap filler.
Kidding.
It's a super cheap inexpensive filler. It bulks it up. You feel full after eating it. That's about it. And I mean, I'm not celiac or anything like that, but I just wanted to know because I had heard through other podcasts about the benefits that come from it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do 30 days. And I did it. I didn't like throw away all my groceries. I ate everything that was there. And then I just was more conscious about reading the labels. And then I only started buying items that were like gluten-free. So like gluten-free pastas were becoming available at like Walmart for the same price as regular pasta. And there's always, there's a lot of now gluten-free options everywhere. Then after that month was over, it was like such incredible changes in my energy levels, my weight, I have like skin rashes and shit that cleared up. Just the puffiness of my face and my body just kind of shrunk down to its regular size. And then from there I was like, okay, so that was easy. Like after a month went by and I was like, I'm going to start cutting out like, I had already pretty much cut out steaks and shit like that, but I was still eating chicken and eggs. So I was like, I'm going to slowly start cutting out like everything. The last thing to go was the eggs. So I cut out tuna, fish, all meat, all poultry, everything was cut out. So just slowly in steps. And the last to go was the eggs. I mean, the eggs was 2 summers ago. And I remember I was at my dad's house in New Brunswick, and we were doing, he has a farm, like a big farmstead, and we were doing a lot of work to like prepare for winter. And I remember that's when I had made the decision. I was like, next week, after these eggs are gone, I'm not buying anymore. And I remember him being like, whoa, like, you sure this is the right time to do that? Because like, you need those eggs, man. That's your protein in the morning. Like, what are you going to do? He's like, because I noticed the days when I wouldn't eat eggs, I would be sluggish and I couldn't really get you know, we're lugging trees and chopping wood and shit like that. And like, you kind of need that boost of energy to get going. And I'm telling you, it was a little rough at first, but you just got to learn how to supplement your protein properly through like things like tofu, eat lots of extra broccoli, even the protein powder, the protein shakes, and I get the vegan protein shakes. It's all plant-based. It's mostly pea protein.
Okay.
And then, then I just kind of ran with it from there.
I've got talking like is it like the brand that's Vega? Have you tried that?
It is, yeah. That's exactly the brand. I think it's like $20 at Walmart. And I mean, fuck.
I love that stuff. And I have some on hand, and you're making me want to make a shake after. I probably will.
You know what I put it? I drink my tea in a mason jar. Because I drink fucking like, I'll drink like 6 of these mason jars of tea every day. So like 1 or 2 of them, I put a big scoop of that protein powder in, and I put a huge like tablespoon of coconut oil. So I get the MCT oils in there. Put the hot water in, mix it up, put a little bit of coconut milk or creamy cashew milk, and then you're good to go. And yeah, I'm drinking one right now, like as we speak. But you got to keep stirring that shit like every 5 minutes because it all settles to the bottom. That's my only beef with it.
Nice. Is it just regular tea, or is there some like specialty that you prefer?
Like a Tetley tea.
I just can't drink tea. I don't know what it is. I've tried it. It's just not for me.
And I get like this old
so I was
English.
hoping you were going to tell me it was something
fun and exciting.
Yeah.
Well, here's the exciting.
Tasty.
Yeah, here's the exciting thing. Tetley makes this blueberry tea. It's blueberry and ginseng, and it's like there's no caffeine, but holy shit, it gets you going. It's like pow 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 pow.
Because of the ginseng.
The ginseng, and there's something else, ginkgo biloba, I think's in there too. So one of them like increases your heart rate, and one of them thins your blood a little bit to get it flowing faster. And then the blueberry is just the aroma. My whole house smells like blueberries. Just this beautiful blueberry smell.
Wow, that's good.
But like, you don't want to drink more than 2 of those, 2 tea bags in a day, because like it kind of wires you out and you feel like a little jittery. But not as bad as
you should have told me this earlier, because I literally just went to the store to buy ephedrine, which I haven't tried in probably 15 years.
Oh man. Like those wake ups with the little rooster on the cover.
Similar, yeah.
Something
I think
like
it's
that.
probably similar to that.
Oh shit!
But
Yeah, it really
back
works.
to the raver days, you would take those to dance all night long, right? So.
Oh yeah.
I thought I would try some, just going to start back running, and I thought I would try some to kind of kickstart my energy.
Definitely.
But maybe I'll look into your teas.
I don't know. I'm just a big fucking hippie now, so I would definitely go with the tea before I would take some like some pharmaceutical. But
for sure,
that's up to everybody. You know, that's your own choice. I'm trying to, I don't know, keep it healthy, man. Not the only thing I take right now is a naproxen.
It's not something like I don't know. I just kind of spontaneously bought it and just thought of it now. Yeah.
Impulse buy as you're walking by. Like, ooh.
Yeah, it was kind of like that. Well, I was in there looking at protein. I was at like GNC, or I think that's what it was. And somebody had recently told me about them taking the ephedrine like at the gym and stuff. And I'm like, well, give it a shot.
Yeah. My only concern with that would be like too much of an increased heart rate, because you don't want to be like beating out of your chest there, and that mess up your blood pressure.
Like, originally, the reason or the purpose behind it is to help you breathe better. That's truly the purpose. Mm-hmm. And not everybody knows this, but I snore like really loud. So I thought I would try these and see if it helps in some way, like help with my breathing or whatever. Well, that's really the reason why.
It might end up just like keeping you up all night though. Have you tried a smaller pillow or like no pillow at all? Because I've just started snoring, and I noticed that it's when I have two pillows or too many, my head is like angled up, like I'm looking down my whole chest, and I start to get this like constricted back of my neck, and starts happening. So I took the pillow away, and I can breathe like super clear, full breaths.
I'll give it a try. I mean, I don't hear myself snore. Other people hear me snore.
Well, then it's not a problem. Don't worry about it.
So for me, I'm good, but it's just the rest of them. You know, I would like to, my daughter can hear me from quite a far distance where her bedroom. So I'm just trying to help everybody out. I'll keep you tuned on how it goes.
My dad snores, and my God, the windows rattle, pictures fall off the wall. It's like,
that's kind of me. That's kind of me. Cool. Oh gosh.
Whatever. Screw them. Let them deal with it.
I work, like I said earlier, I work 14-hour days. So by the time my head hits the pillow,
you're out.
Well, I have to tell you this. It's so funny. My mom comes here. She's amazing, and she comes here to help me sometime, like just volunteer or whatever. And the other night she was laying in bed with me, and she looked at me, and I'm like, what? And she's like, you're snoring and you're awake. I was like awake, but not really. Like I was on my way to falling asleep, but she just couldn't get over it, laughing at me. But I work hard, and I snore even harder.
Damn.
Damn.
Hot damn.
It could be worse, you know?
Yeah, you could sleepwalk. That's probably, I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you ever sleepwalked? I've never. Maybe when I was a kid, but my parents never told me about it. And I don't think I've ever met anyone who's sleepwalked. So it's kind of a rare thing.
I may have when I was little, but I don't know about anything like in recent years. But when we were in our 20s, I'm sure we did some walking in our sleep. But I don't know, like, song for another time. But no, I don't know if I sleepwalk or not. But my daughter has done it a few times and done some silly things that I won't get into, but I mean, it happens, right? If you're tired enough, I guess it happens.
I think I had a cousin who like woke up and went into the corner and like peed in a plant.
I think we all have that cousin. Either it's a plant or a closet or just the bare floor. We've all got a story like that.
Yeah. Man, it's funny when you're like, and you're having a dream, and then in the dream you gotta pee, and you're like trying to find a toilet, and you can't find one, and then you finally find one, and then you're like, I'm trying to pee, nothing's coming out. I wonder why that is. Oh, because in real life your body really needs to pee, and then you'll like wake up and you're like, oh fuck. And I often wonder, I'm like, what if I did actually pee? Am I gonna piss the bed? Is that what's gonna happen? If I actually do find that toilet in my dream, am I gonna wake up soaked? So far, so good. No accidents.
So far, so good.
Although I'll admit that I have probably shit myself at least once a year my entire life. Not sleeping, not sleep shitting, but just, those little accidents happen.
Oh my god.
What? I mean, I think a lot of people.
You don't have to say that.
Not like a big one, just a little like. Oh shit, that was an accident.
Oh god. Okay. I'm gonna stay away from those teas then.
Yeah. Actually, it's
oh my gosh.
The coconut oil has been known to cause a lot of like diarrhea. So people who eat a lot of coconut oil, which I do because of the keto diet that I'm on, it's a high fat, low carb. So I eat tons of coconut oil, and I put like 4 heaping. I eat this vegetable mix that I freeze in the freezer, and I put like 4 heaping tablespoons of coconut oil in that shit every day.
Wow.
And it's amazing shit. It's good for your face. It's good for your hair. It's good for everything.
Yeah, everybody says it's good for... I mean, I've heard it for so many different remedies, and I always have some on hand for sure.
Oh, I love it. Good for
great product.
Sunburns. You know what else is good for?
Yeah.
I have... Before I became vegan, I had bought these leather boots, and they look like fairy Peter Pan boots, and they're like these. I paid a lot of money for these things, and they're designer boots from a fancy place in BC in Nelson. And
Neverland.
Neverland. I use. Have you been there before? Have you been to Nelson?
It's just you said Peter Pan, and then you said when I bought them in, and I had to say Neverland, and continue your story.
Well, no, it's because Nelson really is like Neverland, if you've ever been there.
Really?
Like, the people are just...
I've never been out west.
Very like woodsy, woodland elves kind of people. It's really cool. But yeah, I use coconut oil to I rub the coconut oil into my leather boots, and it's better than any spray or any other shit I've ever had. It really preserves them. I use it on all my leather products. It's crazy good stuff. So it's not just for our bodies. So
as a vegan, do you still keep that stuff? Are you still...
Well, yeah, I paid a lot of money for that shit. I'm not going to just throw them away, but I'm consciously not going to go and buy more, $300 leather boots.
But if you came across a beautiful piece of leather that's at a vintage secondhand store, would you buy that? I mean, it's already
maybe
used. It's not
maybe. I don't know. I don't really want to promote the whole animal thing, and I feel like I kind of do that just by wearing the boots out in public and shit. It just keeps it in the public's eye. But I mean, nowadays they have so much fake leather that you can't even really tell the difference.
Yeah. And it's people are really, if that's your belief or those are your, I don't really buy a lot of leather products myself. Mind you, my couch is leather because I the way it feels. But
wait, you wait.
A store one time with my cousin, and he had on a leather jacket.
Yeah.
And this guy walked by us, and he's like, "Nice leather jacket." Pause. You fucking asshole. And I mean, we just kind of stopped. What? This guy almost wanted to, go toe to toe with my cousin over his jacket, and I'm just I really think it's amazing to promote what you believe in, but don't bash what you hate. I mean, if you want people to believe what you believe, or if you want to show how loving you are and all these things, just focus on what you love. That's just my,
That's the best. I've been in so many vegan arguments online with people now that I've alienated so many friends, and I just kind of realized I'm yelling into a black hole. No one's being receptive.
Yeah.
No one wants to hear any of it. No one wants to watch these documentaries with animals having their skin cut off or whatever the gross thing that they're showing you in these documentaries. And I don't even want to watch that shit. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen it in real life. Mm-hmm. So I know what's going on in those places. I don't need to watch it on a screen. And then I'm like, why am I, you're keeping it alive. You're keeping the hate, the us versus them alive.
Yes.
The duality.
But in the beginning, if you would have shared those things, you weren't doing it for that reason. You were doing it because, you believe in this, and you want other people to understand what you understand.
Yeah.
But if it's not taken that way,
right,
then it just becomes, you know, it just becomes like this asshole sharing this again, like, you know.
Yeah.
Years ago, I was working with women and children who were victims of domestic violence and sexual abuse. And so, you know, I was super passionate about this, and that's still something I'm very passionate about. And I would share about all these facts and all these things. And then all of a sudden, like, I realized, and from people would tell, my close friends would tell me, like, I don't like that. Like, you know, if you want to share it on your page that's about that, it's one thing, but on your personal thing, not everybody wants to wake up to, you know, animals being slaughtered or bruised women or whatever. Like, not everybody wants to see that in their newsfeed. And it's like, you're trying to educate your friends, but at the same time, it's like, who are you to, you know what I mean? Like, there's such a line of like, are you being positive about it or are you being overbearing about it? So I just kind of don't share that stuff anymore.
Yeah. I totally agree. I mean, I've gotten, some heated debates have gone down. Some people have been
Absolutely.
like, you know, fuck you, Jay. Don't talk to me anymore. Unfriended me or whatever. And it's like, what?
Wow. The whole unfriending thing is crazy and so immature, but it happens.
Yeah.
You know, I've had amazing girlfriends that I thought we were going to be friends forever, and one thing's said the wrong way, and then you're unfriended or blocked, and it's just like, Facebook is such a tool for keeping you connected, but it's also a tool for keeping you disconnected from real relationships and reality.
Right.
You know, if you think about how much time you spend on these outlets, I mean, I don't know. It's just
there's the bubble.
Facebook, to me, it's the worst one of them all.
There's the bubble, right? Like, you're in your little bubble,
Yep.
and let's say you're like a hardcore liberal, you're only going to see liberal ideas, you're only going to see liberal posts, you're only going to see liberal concepts. Everything is going to be very liberal. And then one conservative friend has slipped into the mix and says one little thing, and then you're going to say, oh no, I hate you, and then you block and delete them or whatever. And it's like...
Which is so foolish, you know? I mean, we're never going to all agree on religion and politics, and there's all sorts of things that they say are just not conversations to have with certain people. But the thing is that if you and I have a conversation and I don't necessarily agree with your opinion, I don't think any less of you.
Right.
I'll listen to what you're saying, but I mean, I'm mature enough to realize, okay, well, these are my beliefs, and I'm cool with you having yours. I think that's really, people get so worked up on Facebook, and it's like,
and I think
it's just a post, it's just a picture. Like,
we can all be different and have different opinions and views, and we can all still live together and still be friends.
Absolutely.
And hang out. I mean, it would be a boring world if everyone just agreed. It would be so boring if it was just perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's not what life is about. Life is about overcoming obstacles, challenges, and growing.
Yeah.
It's not about, oh, everything's perfect, la la la, let's just float around in a dream cloud. La, la, la.
Yep.
And whew. I remember my dad telling me when I was a kid, he was like, son, there's things that you don't talk about with anybody. You don't talk about how much money you make, and you don't talk about who you vote for or politics. You can have an opinion, but you don't talk about that shit with your friends. Like, there's private things. And now looking back, I'm like, oh, now I see the wisdom to that. It's not,
there's so much wisdom in that.
It's not because these are the rules and don't talk about this shit. It's because of all the bullshit that comes along with bringing up these things, you know? You're gonna make enemies where there were no enemies.
Absolutely. And I mean, what is the point of speaking your mind to the point where you're making enemies? Like, I would prefer to get along with everybody. You know, you can't be friends with everybody, but I would prefer there to be harmony and peace in the conversation than just overpowering the other person and like trying to get my point across, because I'm not a politician. Maybe not in this lifetime, maybe another one, but you know, my dad said the same thing to me before like I would have been age of majority to vote, like, because my dad was a liberal. Mm-hmm. I'm sure my mom is still, and I remember him saying, like, don't have those conversations, and you don't have to tell people who you vote for. And I was like, well, who do I vote for when I go to vote? And he's like, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. You need to like actually read what everybody's doing and like follow it and, like, you know, learn it for yourself. Like, don't just be spoon-fed all this information. And that's what happens. So many people are just spoon-fed, like, okay, well, I'm liberal or I'm conservative or whatever, and it's not even really truly who they are. You're fighting for something you don't even really understand.
Yeah, that, and that you don't even... The idea of who is what anymore, especially when it comes to voting. I mean, these politicians are so flip-floppy. Like, they're jumping ship left and right all the time. Like, the Liberals were jumping over to Harper's boat, and the Harper's boat were jumping over to Trudeau's boat, and it's, you know what? They're feeling the game. They're feeling the playing field, and they're just kind of riding the wave, and they're going like, okay, this wave's going to crash. I'm going to jump over onto another wave that's still going.
But what else can they do? Like, if they don't do these things, no matter what, like, I'm sorry, I think Justin Trudeau gets a really bad rap, and, like, there's some things that I don't agree with, but there's some things that he's done that I think are pretty fantastic.
Oh, definitely.
Like, just as an example, and I just want to say this, when he went to these other countries and he wore their, like their common dress, I thought personally, and maybe people will think I'm crazy, but I thought that was really polite.
Well, yeah.
Like, I do think when you look at Donald Trump and his first lady and the whole gang, when they dressed kind of like they were going to a funeral when they met the Pope, I thought that was a little bit strange. But I'm not an American, so that doesn't even matter. But as far as Trudeau, I thought that was really polite.
Well,
I mean...
It makes sense to try and get into the culture that you're visiting and try and, feel like you're one of them and experience the whole thing. You don't want to stand out and look like a weird outsider. You really want to get in there. But I can understand how, like, thousands and thousands of Canadians are going, oh, that's cultural appropriation. You shouldn't wear a gown or whatever it is. So.
I know, but that's just me. Like, if I went somewhere, I mean, I'm always going to be me, but I'm not the prime minister. Okay. So if he's going somewhere like this and he feels that it might possibly give him a leg in with whoever he's visiting, I don't see it as that an issue. And I don't think that then you get all these people losing their shit about saying, well, all the money spent for that could have been given to the homeless and the veterans. What are you talking about? Like, these are all different budgets. And a lot of the facts, and again with Facebook, people will circulate all these facts about the homelessness and the veterans. They're not even true, most of the stats. I know this from personal experience working with the homeless and being previously married to a vet. So, I mean, I just think, it's again, when we're being spoon-fed the information and we're just believing stuff that's not even true.
Right.
Anyway, that can be another topic, I guess.
Well, just to finish it off, it kind of comes back to the fact that the other side, whoever is against whatever the current regime is, whoever's against that is going to pick and choose hot topics and try and use that to play against the current regime. It doesn't matter who's on what side. If it was a conservative guy in there, they're going to say the same shit about, oh, this money should be spent on, doesn't matter. Homeless and vets, that's what's trending this month. Okay, that's what we're going to say. That's trending.
Yeah, exactly. It's just to get these other people lit up, right? It's sometimes a person will hear a topic and it triggers something, and then all of a sudden it's all you hear about on Facebook or whatever outlet you use. Yeah.
I mean, I've been doing like a media blackout myself. I don't watch the news. I don't read a newspaper. I have ad block on everything, so I don't see the ads. But I do see friends posting relentlessly, when something comes up, and I'm like, y'all are buying into this? Like, really? And I want to dive in. There's so much
fake news, right? And it's overpowering. My ex-husband was really like, and there's nothing wrong with this, but he's a gentleman that likes to watch the news every day, and Canadian, American, whatever. And I will say I watched it because I want to know what's going on in current events and things like that. But since we've separated, I don't watch the news anymore, and it's got nothing to do with him. It's just as a reference. And you know what? Your life is lighter when you're not constantly submerged in everything else going on around you, because it's just too much. I mean, there's just so much happening. And I definitely unfollow or unsubscribe to anyone that just constantly puts about, the news or just current events all the time. I just don't follow those people. It's just too much.
Yeah. And I mean, that comes back to like, me posting shit about the vegan and killing animals. People are free to unfollow me, and I'm free to unfollow the news droppers and shit like that. The one good thing that I do like, though, is that I have a very wide range of friends who are actually from all different walks of life, and they are like, I have a friend who is a card-carrying conservative down in Halifax, and he's also a musician. He's a DJ. Like, you would think that all artists are liberal, but they're not. So it goes both ways, and I'm not caught in that bubble, that what's it called, the echo chamber that happens.
Yeah.
Because I do get to hear random offshoot beliefs. I get to hear the positive things about Trump coming through. You're not just all negative. I mean, there are some good things. I have to
say, like, with Trump, I mean, like, he's a smart businessman. I own a business. I'm not going to say that things he's done as a president, I don't follow any of that. But if you look back at all the things that he's done prior to being the president, the guy's freaking pretty smart, like he's...
Right. Not always ethical.
He's a huge business mogul. Not always ethical. However, he knows. But I do have some extremely close friends that are Trump supporters.
Yep.
I was very surprised, but I don't have any less love for them or any more. You know what I mean? Like, your personal beliefs are yours, and that's just the way I feel. I mean, that's just the way it should be. That's the only way we're going to live in harmony, is if we all just allow each other to be individual.
I made a video on YouTube saying that I won't play the hate game, because this was when Trump was like waking up in the morning, grabbing his phone, going on Twitter, saying some racist shit, and then with one click of a button, he has the entire world in anger, hate, freaking out, and thinking about him. And I was like, I'm not going to participate in this, because the whole internet would just explode, and then the news channels would explode, and the radio is exploding with hate and anger everywhere. And this guy's laughing, he's rolling. He has a golden toilet. His toilet's made out of gold, like actually a golden throne. And so like this guy's like rolling around in like Scrooge McDuck, swimming through the change, swimming through the money, and laughing his ass off. And he makes a whole bunch more money every time everyone gets riled up and they sell more ads on these news sites. Everything comes back full circle.
He's got so much power, and we think that saying what we think of, discrediting or putting him down for the things that he's done, it only fuels the fire. Like, it makes him bigger and bigger. And I'll say like you, I don't get involved in that hate game, because what's the point? Like,
no. But you know what? YouTube, being a hardcore liberal supporter, or whatever the opposite of Trump is. I'm pretty sure Trump is conservative, whatever their name for it, Democrats and Republicans. I always get them mixed up. YouTube deleted that video, and I had to fight to get it put back on. Because all I said was, I'm not playing the hate game. I'm not a supporter, but I'm not. And I explained the whole thing about how he wakes up and sends a tweet and everybody erupts. And they didn't like that. YouTube has like a weird policy now. They have actual like humans who sit and watch almost every video to try and see if it fits the paradigm that they're trying to create. Like they have an agenda.
They must. Yeah, I mean, that's what happened, freedom of speech, right? But I guess it's...
well, you're using their platform is the way they look at it. Look, you're using our system. We are hosting all this. We're paying for it all. It's free service. Like, we don't like what you're saying. We're going to delete it. But it comes down to a person by person. So if the guy who watched that video was outraged that day by what Trump tweeted, he's going to delete my video, of course. If I had landed my video on some other poor sap's desk, then they might not have had the same opinion. And it's a personal choice. And that's just like a weird thing that YouTube does. That doesn't really have anything to do with anything else in the world. But I mean, it's something that's happening. And I'm like, if YouTube's doing it, damn well Facebook's doing it, Google's doing it. They're all doing it. So, I mean, yeah, online freedom of speech is definitely being dwindled away. And
oh, absolutely. I mean, there's not too much. You can't post anything where there's no comments section. So, I mean, like, I don't know. I just think that some people feel so entitled to their opinions, and we are. It's just that at the same time, if you're putting them on blast on your social media, you're asking for people to comment, or you know what I mean? Like, there's no winning with this, especially if you're taking it to, like, other than it's beautiful outside today. Like, even those posts, someone's going to say, well, it was raining 2 hours ago. Like, there's just no way to keep it positive all the time. So,
and you know what? Life isn't positive all the time. And a cool thing that one of my cousins has done is that I remember she posted on Instagram. She was like, I'm sick of everything being all peaches and cream and positive, happy things. She goes, I'm going to post some like negative pictures. So if she's in a bad mood, there's a shot of her frowning, or if she's crying over something, there's a shot of her crying. And it's really like eye-opening, and it's like enlightening almost. It's like, you know what? Yeah, the world isn't a perfect Instagram selfie. It's real. Real shit happens. And we can't ignore that. These are things that we have to work through. You can't just keep pushing it down inside. That's when you get into like regression, and that's when you start to get triggered. And when people start to get triggered over things, a trigger is there for a reason. It's to like, hey, wake up. Look what's in front of you. It's there again. Yeah. Deal with it. Deal with it now. And a lot of people just go, no, I'm triggered, and they shut down and they walk away. Not really the most healthy way to deal with issues. I know there's some like really traumatic things that have happened to people where they like break down into like a ball of anxiety and curl up on the sidewalk and start crying. But in everyday life, I mean, you can't like, oh, a white cat ran by and I'm triggered. I can't go down that street now. Like, really?
Yeah, okay. For sure.
I mean, I know there's extremes, but then there's like everyone else.
Absolutely.
And I guess that comes into,
you know, like for me, like I've had quite a few, which is not a positive thing, but I've had quite a few deaths in the recent years in my close family and in my close network of friends. And I find that, you know, like even trying to bring up those things with other people, people will say, oh, let's not talk about that. It's not positive or whatever, but it's real, you know, and you have to talk about these things. And these people existed, and you still have to somehow have the conversation go. You got to keep the conversation going. Like, but some people are just so conditioned to only speak about, you know, news, politics, weather, whatever, and then try and keep everything positive, unless it's gossip, but try and keep the most things positive. And it's like, that's not real either. You know, you have to talk about these things. And
I mean, we have the same network of friends, so I have an idea of some of who you're talking about. And it was troubling. And I mean, I've gotten a lot of heat because after my grandparents died, I quit. I've been a girl I dated for like 5 years had a whole shitload of deaths in her family and in her friend circle. So I had been to like 14 funerals in like a span of 5 years, and then all four grandparents dying on top of that. You know, that's like 18 funerals. And I mean, after a while, I was like, unless it's my brother or my dad or my mom, I'm not going, or my sister, I'm not going to any more funerals. I'm not doing this. This isn't my way of grieving anyways. And I know how cool and lighthearted my friends were. They wouldn't want everyone standing around crying. They would want us like celebrating their life instead of sobbing over the loss of it. And so I got a lot of slack and a lot of heat from everyone for not going to any funerals.
But why though? Like, you know, if people would just focus on their own shit, like their own grief, their own way of dealing with it, and allowing you to deal with it the way you want to deal with it, everybody's cool. Right. Why do we have to say, well, you should be doing? We shouldn't be telling people how to grieve, and we shouldn't be telling people how to do anything. You know, especially like I've had friends that have passed away that I couldn't make it. I've had friends that have gotten married that I couldn't make it. And it's not because it was happy or sad. It's just sometimes you just can't go. And then you have to put your mental health above everyone else's, you know? And if something's going to really upset you, or you don't feel prepared, or you just don't want to go, that's okay. And I really feel that we need to get to that point where we're not putting so much focus on like, who didn't come, who didn't go, whatever. We did lose, oh God, I don't even want to count the amount of friends you and I've lost in common. And I thought that those things, that those people, that I would never get over them, but I'm not saying that I ever did, but you learn how to cope and you learn how to move forward. But last year I lost my dad, and that was terrible, and it's probably something that should have broken me more than anything that I've ever experienced, because my dad had a mental illness and he committed suicide.
Right.
And I'm very open about it because I think that we need to change the narrative and be open about it. But I've never felt so at peace. Like, I feel like I missed him every goddamn day, but I also, I don't know, it's just a different way of grieving. And I think it's when you lose your parent, there's nothing like it. Like a parent or a sibling or a child, I think it would be just the worst thing ever. But I really feel that, since my dad's passed away, if it makes sense, my life's only improved, not for him not being here, but for my choices, because my mindset's really changed.
Right.
My outlook on everything's really changed, and my approach to everything's really changed.
You kind of realize how finite this life is.
Yeah.
Is what I gathered from it. And
I really believe that, and I think that losing him, because it was suicide, he didn't have cancer. You don't get to say, okay, well, my dad died from cancer, and then it's something that you talk about and people understand, and okay, well, my uncle, everyone always has a story about that.
Yeah.
But when you meet someone or discuss with someone the way your dad passed away, they're, they don't want to talk about it. And it's like, well, it's me that had the loss, and this is my profession. That's my line of work. I work in frontline mental health,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that everything happens for a reason, and maybe I was supposed to go this route with my education and my line of work, so maybe I'll have a better handle on it. I don't know. But I don't know. It's a real eye-opener. And the expression YOLO, I never really thought that there was much to that, but it's really true. You really only do live once. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a religious person, so I'm not spending my whole life waiting to get to heaven. I'm living this life, right? And I've made a lot of major decisions and changes since he's passed away, but they've all been the best possible ones possible.
Right.
It's opened me up. It's it was enlightening for sure.
So for me anyways, to try and relate to what you're saying, was that experiencing all these funerals, all these deaths,
mm-hmm.
It's when I realized, it's wow, this happens. This is a real thing. Yeah. It ends. It's over. It's a cycle. You're here and you're gone, and your body, whatever, melts back into the ground. Whether you have a soul or not, nobody knows. No one will ever know until we're gone too. Yeah. So it's all just hearsay and speculation about what's going to happen next.
Exactly.
But yeah, I feel that also has maybe added to the reason why I didn't go to a bunch of funerals after, because I just kind of felt you know what? I have my mind fully wrapped around what death is. And I kind of understand it now. And I don't feel that pain and sorrow and sadness. I mean, a little bit is there, but it's not this crippling, oh, how can I continue with my life? It's not like that.
For sure.
To that level.
Yeah, I get that.
And I guess that's what I've taken away from the whole thing. And geez, luckily both my parents are still here. And geez, I think about them all the time, because I'm out west and they're back east, and they're so far away that if anything ever happened in their old age now, that I feel kind of hopeless to get back and do anything about it. But luckily I have a brother and a sister who hopefully will, step in and before I could get back and help out. Geez.
It is you are very lucky that you have your both parents. I mean, most people our age don't. It's one or the other or neither, I mean, that's just a part of, without saying my age, that's just a part of us aging and getting older and, moving on to the 40s. But a lot of people don't have that. And I can tell you, I was always close with my mom, but the relationship we have now is just so much stronger, because I realize how fragile these relationships can be. I mean, they could be over tomorrow. Like, anything could happen, right? So it's just like, man. I hear some of our friends that are always in an argument with their parents, or they're always pissed off that their parents did this or didn't understand that. It's like, grow up, appreciate them for who they are. Your parents will never be exactly who you want them to be. You're never going to change them.
You're never going to change them. That's for sure.
And why would you want to? Like, if they've been doing it, and I, as I get older, I realize, shit, I should have been, everything my mom said, it was all right. It was totally true.
Yeah.
All these things that she told me about life, I'm like, nah. Yeah. It's, you know, but we just want to be stubborn and make our own way and whatever. And I don't know. I just think that when you're at the age that we're at, I mean, if you're fighting with your parents, it speaks volumes to you too, you know? It's just like, you need to get over that shit, because tomorrow you could get a really shitty phone call.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
No. It's funny, the knowledge thing that you mentioned, like, there's people learn differently. Some people learn verbally, some people learn visually, and some people learn experientially. Yeah. I'm an experiencer. Everyone can tell me, don't put my hand on that stove all they want. I'm going to put my hand on the stove. And I need to feel that heat and learn the pain to not do it again. There's only so much you can be told by someone, or there's only so much you can read in a book before it's like, okay, what's this all about? Especially when you look at like the party culture and drug culture and shit like that, and how much brainwashing has happened in the world through the media, telling you that, oh, this, like MDMA, oh, it's a date rape drug and it turns you gay. And it's like, that's all I had ever heard about it my whole life growing up. And then I remember like trying it for the first time and going like, oh my God, I can't believe that I believed all their bullshit about this thing. This is awesome. I want this every day. Everything's so bright and glowy and I feel great. And I remember I fucking called my mom. And this is when I was at like a younger age, when I would never call my mom just to call and chat and shoot the shit. And I called her and we talked for like 2 hours on the phone until my phone battery died.
Wow.
And she's just like, she had no clue, no idea. She's like, oh, this is weird, but you're calling me.
It's the love drug, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, looking back, like, that's
purest sense,
that's the funniest thing. Like, oh, you're high on MDMA. Of course, give your mom a call. What a great idea.
Yeah.
Just don't let her see your jaw going and your pupils the size of loonies.
Oh my God.
Do you believe in aliens? Have you ever seen, heard, felt a presence, so to speak?
Well, I don't know if I believe necessarily in aliens in the form that we saw them on, like, when you say aliens, first thing I think of is that little green Martian dude on the Flintstones. I don't know about that, but I don't really know. Like, I mean, I don't really think that it's possible that there's not other lives out there, like life forms out there. So, yes and no. Have I ever seen it? No. But I do know people that I hold in really high regard that have said they've seen them. So, I mean, it's like, I don't know. I think for those things, I wouldn't say it's not possible, but I just haven't seen it myself.
I saw a flying UFO in Halifax near the Air Force Base, which I equate to just being some government testing thing that I saw, because it was being escorted by 2 Army helicopters. And it was a cloudy evening, and the clouds parted for just a second, and I heard the helicopters coming, so I would always look for them. And then they came out of the clouds, and there was this oval-shaped disc, black as night, and it was just hovering, and it came out, and it was escorted, and the 3 were flying in like perfect unison, and then it went back into the clouds, and then it was gone. And
wow,
this is where I would go at night to smoke my joint after dinner. And so I was out on the front step smoking my joint.
Well, there you go.
And everybody knew that that's what I did after dinner, and everybody knew that I was out there doing that. And so it all turns back like, oh yeah, you were stoned and you saw the UFO. I'm like, man, I know we've all smoked some weed before, and no one has ever seen something. Like, you don't see things from smoking weed. You don't see leprechauns walking into the room. You don't see elves and shit like that. Like, you don't make up things, especially like that. It's such a weird thing that happened. But I think that seems to me like way more like human-made kind of thing. But my idea of aliens, and a lot of people don't even want to think about this. Everyone wants to think of an alien as like a creature that if it ever came here that we could kill it. But to me, I kind of think that if an alien ever came here, it's not even going to have a body. It's going to be like some kind of non-physical entity that's going to be able to maybe like influence us in some way, or enter into maybe a person, or enter into an animal or something to be able to like do whatever they're here to do. And a lot of people just don't want to even think about that kind of shit because you can't kill them. Like, how do you kill a spirit?
I mean, I'm not sure. Like I said, I haven't actually seen it, but I think you're like, I mean, I have no reason to doubt that you saw that. You're telling me that you did, so I know you, and it's very possible that you did. So I won't say I don't believe it, but I would like to see it. But then at the same time, it's like, you know, people wonder, okay, they're angels, or they're all these things, and it's like, I don't know. Like, I just don't. I can't say yes and I can't say no because I just don't know. Like, it's just one of those things that if you tell me the story, I'll listen to you, but I'm not going to say I wouldn't think it was totally cool if you would have recorded it. That would have been really cool to watch. That would have been great to see. And if it ever happens again, think of me. But if I ever see a UFO, you will definitely be the second person I tell. I'm going to tell my daughter first, then I'll tell you. And
yes.
But apparently, where I'm originally from, which is Jacket River, New Brunswick, which is like 30 minutes from here.
Right.
My cousin filmed something and took a screenshot of the video or whatever, and it looks like a flying saucer. It really, really does. Was it? I don't know. I wasn't there, but he says it was. You know.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
I've seen some right here from Victoria. Different weird flying things. Like I've seen them on YouTube, and apparently there's people who investigate these films to see if they're fake or not. They can tell just through different frame rates and through different things that are encoded in the back of the video. Even after they've been uploaded to YouTube, you can still find out this meta information. And apparently a lot of them are not fake. So they actually are like weird objects up in the sky. And I mean, there's this one that like just looking at it, it baffles my mind because, you know, usually you see an object and you're like, oh, I know what that is. That's a flying saucer because it's a saucer shape. But these objects were just so geometrically weird and odd shaped that they don't look like anything that you would ever think of as being any kind of vehicle or a ship or anything like that. So that's why it kind of strikes me as like being alien and foreign to even the concept of what we think is alien.
Right.
I was like, we've been brainwashed by the media and movies and everything to think that aliens are a certain way. And then when you see something like truly alien. Whoo.
I mean, if I would ask my daughter or anyone in her age, what does an alien look like? Like, I can hear the song for the Men in Black playing in my head right now. Like, that's what people are led to believe these aliens look like, you know?
Yeah.
And how the hell do I know? I mean, I don't have a clue. But, I mean, as far as, like, the actual, you know, the saucer or whatever, I mean, I think that would be really cool. And you're saying that you saw this coming out of Halifax, and I think I remember one time.
Well, the Dartmouth,
don't forget,
the Air Force Base in Dartmouth.
Where?
The Air Force Base on the Dartmouth side.
Okay. Because I do recall once being at the pavilion and thinking I saw something in the sky, but I don't think it was the same thing you saw.
Good old pavilion.
I'll just leave that there.
The good old pavilion. I think that place is still running. Out of all the places, you can still go to a really good punk show at the pavilion.
Really?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I haven't been to Halifax since before my daughter's born. So she's going to be 12, probably 14. Actually, right before the summer before I got pregnant, I had been in Ireland for 6 months.
Yeah. And
I flew into Halifax and stayed there for a week or two with Rob Cotterill. So I guess I was there 13 years ago or something.
Huh.
I didn't see any aliens when I was there. Sorry, I didn't.
Cool.
But I did see some old friends that I haven't seen since. But it was like all of our mutual friends, like from the Goodfellas days and those types of days. We all went out boogieing, so that was fun. Yeah, but again, no aliens there.
Cool. Can I get you to hold for just a quick sec?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
He was kind of a surprise, but my residents really wanted an animal.
Yeah.
And although they all have goldfish, which is their thing, you know, that's the easiest thing to have in a private room. But I said, okay, a dog is just way too much work. So I got them a kitten.
Aww.
Yeah.
Aw, what's his or her name?
His name is Charlie.
Charlie. Like Charlie
Harvey.
I was going to say like Charlie Sheen.
Well, Charlie Sheen Harvey, yes. Yeah. My girlfriend, she said to me the other day, she messaged me, she's like, please tell me that his middle name is Sheen. So, yeah, between her and I and now you, his middle name is Sheen.
Yes. All right. I bought back when Charlie was erupting there with his like weird YouTube videos a few years ago. I think it was like 2012. I bought a Charlie Sheen mask for Halloween, and I had like his weird floral shirt that he would wear with the shorts, the cargo shorts from like 2.5 Men or whatever. And that was hilarious.
That show was hilarious, and so was his whatever he was going through. I'm sorry, but I know it was like himself, like, you know, kind of self-destructing there, but it was pretty funny.
It was funny, and I mean, it was an awakening period for a lot of artists and actors in Hollywood.
So, yeah.
When he stood up to his boss, and his boss was the same guy that does all the shows, the 2.5 Men, Lorne Michaels or Lorne. Jeez, what's his name?
Okay.
Anyways, he does, if you look up, whenever you're watching a show, at the end of the show, pretty much every show on TV is produced by this guy. And it's all done at this one, like Universal Studios, I believe. And, he was the first one to ever say, like, you know what, screw you, I quit. I have more money than I'll ever need the rest of my life. I don't need any of this. Bye. And then what he did, here's what happened. He was trying to be, so 2.5 Men was written about him and his own real personal life. So he's a crazy rich guy, has lots of sex with lots of women. He does whatever he wants. He comes and goes as he pleases, and then, you know, throw a brother and a kid into the mix, and everything's upside down in my life. But what happened was, he started making those weird YouTube videos where he was like high as fuck, and he was saying all kinds of weird shit that the company didn't like it, and they're like, you can't reflect. You're a reflection of our company. You can't be that guy. He goes, I am that guy, and the show is written about that guy. How can I stop being that guy? And that's when they were like, look, you're gonna stop or you're fired. And he goes, no, I quit. And they were like, you can't quit. You can't quit because of your contracts and everything. He goes, I don't care. I'll pay the fee. I'll pay the lawyer fee. I'll pay for everything. They had been paying him like so many millions per episode. It's like, what did you expect was going to happen? But that was a pretty good show back in the day.
It really was. Once they switched to Ashton Kutcher, and it's not that I don't like him. I think he's amazing. I watched his new show, The Ranch. I do like him, but it just changed the entire dynamics of the show, and I just completely stopped watching it.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it till the end. Probably it didn't last too much longer.
Oh, did you?
After he got in there,
I don't know if it was 1 or 2 seasons after. I don't recall, but
there wasn't much room to go. There wasn't anywhere to go with it after that.
Yeah.
And I mean, the fact that they killed Charlie, like they killed him, like there's no possible return, that kind of put a damper on everything. And it's kind of like, you know, at least if the hope was there that he might randomly show up again, him and the producer makes friends or whatever, he pays him enough money to come back for a cameo or something, like that would have been cool. But I think that kind of like, you know, put a damper on the whole thing.
For sure.
Like letting the air out of a balloon, and it flies around the room for a minute, but eventually it's going to crash and hit the floor. That's when Charlie left. The balloon was let go, and Ashton was that balloon.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh my. So I don't want to keep you too much longer on here. We've gotten into some pretty cool, in-depth things here.
Cool.
How do you feel about, I have like one more question here. How do you
Sure.
feel about something that is being called the existential dread? And by existential dread, it's kind of this feeling, this innate feeling that a lot of people have in the back of their mind, in their psyche, in their soul, in their feeling that something ain't right. You know, we're in this universe, we're playing these games, these roles, these society games, but something ain't right. Something feels like wrong or out of place, and a lot of people are feeling that. And a lot of people are trying to work to uncover what it really is and why it's happening. And it all seems to come back to things like society issues. People have grown cities too big. We should be in smaller tribes, smaller like villages and towns. Getting too big to even like be able to handle our own existence is kind of what I guess it's coming down to. What are your thoughts?
I think for me, like my thoughts, it's like on an even smaller scale because as far as what everybody else is doing, I can't control any of that. As far as what society is doing, I can't control any of that. What I try and focus on is my own happiness. Honestly, like I said about, losing my dad, it was like such an enlightening period of time for me, and I'm still going through it because it's just a little bit over a year. But probably before that, if you would have asked me that question, I probably would have been a little bit more frazzled and a little bit more concerned about the world and everything going on around me. But more so now, I really just try and focus on my inner circle of my selected few wonderful friends, family, my new awesome boyfriend, and like just keeping things smaller scale, and just trying to do, not to say, I don't want to sound cheesy and say do good, but just try and be the best version of me that I can be, and like teach my daughter my version of right from wrong and go from there. But as far as everything around me, I'm letting that shit go because I can't control it. So I don't know if that exactly answers your question, but that's just the way I'm living.
Definitely, pretty much. I mean, I've lived everywhere. I've been in LA where there's like 1 million people just in our 5-block radius kind of thing. But then I've lived down in Shediac where the population hasn't gone past 6,000 people yet. And,
exactly, yeah.
And I mean, there's pros and cons to both of them. Supply and demand in the big city was awesome. I mean, we had certified organic vegetables you could buy for 99 cents at the dollar store. And the dollar store was in the same building as Whole Foods. So you could go into Whole Foods and pay the $5 for a piece of broccoli, or you could pay the $1 for the piece of broccoli right next door. And it was kind of funny because the people who shopped at Whole Foods wouldn't be caught dead walking into that 99-cent store. Not in a million years.
Yeah,
They're just like, I'm so much better than that. I'll pay the $5 for the exact same broccoli from just down just downstate. And then being in like small towns like Shediac and other small towns, Antigonish, you really get to know people like really well. You know all your neighbors, and then it becomes this like there's friendships, but then there's also that like the devil I know kind of concept. Yeah, where it's
absolutely.
Like there's the bad guy, the villain, very two-dimensional kind of characters too. For some reason, I've noticed these people don't tend to grow and expand any. They just stay this like one kind of train of thought. This is who I am, and this is how I am. That's how I'll always be. Yeah. But they're a villain. At least you can work around that. You're like, I know if I say these words to the villain, I know exactly how the villain's going to respond to those words. There's no weird wild cards going off all around you. Less violence, I find. Yeah. More sense of community. But I mean,
a sense of community is like everything for me.
And that comes down to a low population too, because you can't step on too many toes, and you can't burn too many bridges before you don't have any friends left, and you've been alienated.
That's right.
And you got to leave and go to another town.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, Bathurst were I'm going to say somewhere around 10,000 people. And right now, the big thing is like microbreweries, craft beers, all of these like local support your hometown type of things that are happening. Yeah. And to me, like I saw this on Instagram today, and it was a post, and it said, "Local is the new black." I love that. Like, because for me, like, I think that what's around you, I mean, of course, there's greater issues all over the world, but getting back to this whole small town, like, situation for me, like, I don't know, it's like, I think community and supporting local and all those things are just, they're huge, because, yeah, you could go move to Toronto or a great big city or something. I would never personally want to do that, because I couldn't live that far from my mom. But I don't know, there's just something so amazing about being in a small town and supporting it. Mm-hmm. And I'm a business owner in a small town, so if I don't support local, I'm not being, you know what I mean? Like, it kind of goes full circle there, but
oh yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, I love Shediac. I think it's so cool that is that where your parents still live, or were they there vacationing? I can't remember.
My mom lives there. My whole mom's side of her family is all down there, and they were like in Pointe de Chêne, so they were like the English, the one English family in Pointe de Chêne who doesn't even speak any French. I'm like the only one in my whole family, and I mean, I have like there were 9 aunts and uncles. Some of them have died already, so you can imagine how many cousins I have, and I'm the only one who speaks any French at all, so it's kind of like weird.
Crazy. Isn't that crazy?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
I know in my family, neither of my parents spoke French, and neither did my aunts or uncles, whatever, but all of my generation, the nieces and nephews, the grandkids, we all do speak French, because, like, my sister and I, we moved to Moncton, and you need to speak French if you want to work.
Exactly.
Pretty much, you know, like, anyways, it's kind of funny. Like, I don't even know how I got through French immersion in junior high or high school, because I had no help at home. They could listen to me do a speech and be like, "Oh, that's so great," but they don't know what the heck I'm saying, right? But somehow I got through it all, and but so funny, like, because I remember, like, dropping you off, I think, in Pointe de Chêne somewhere, maybe I thought it was a cottage, I can't remember, it's so long ago, but I worked at Captain Dan's for 5 or 6 summers, so my French is completely jaded with Chiac, so when you come to Bathurst, it's not the same French.
No, it's not.
So I'll say things, and they're looking at me like, what? And I'm like, you know, and just repeat myself, but it's not their dialect at all, but that's okay. At least I'm trying, right?
Yep. Hey, I worked at the Bayou for a long time.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I definitely, that's what really, like,
you were shacking it up.
I was shacking it up. That's all you could do. But then in the summer, the tourists would show up, and the tourists they had been marketing. So, like, New Brunswick would market to Quebec and say, "Hey, Quebecers, y'all want to keep speaking French and want to go on vacation to a beautiful beach, and everyone's still going to be French. You don't got to step out of your French bubble. Come to Shediac." Yeah. So these Quebecers would come. But the thing about Quebec is that each town has their own dialect, their own accent, their own name for everything, from, like,
New Brunswick as well. I mean, I think most places are like that, because we're surrounded here in Bathurst by the Acadian Peninsula, which is, their French is just beautiful. I mean, it's just more articulate than the Chiac, but it's just, like I say, like, they'll say things, I don't know what they're saying.
No.
But it's just different, like you're saying, dialect and lingo, like, it changes from place to place and family to family. Like, if I go to Jacket River for any length of time, I'm coming back with an accent, like, and it's just because you're with your relatives and you get going, you know, and it happens like that. And when some of the people come over from Quebec, I mean, I know I struggled a lot working at Captain Dan's, but then, you know, you just make a joke about it, and it always goes over well, as long as you're trying, right?
The funniest thing for me was just putting a little bit of a ch, because I would be like, veux-tu des œufs? And they're like, "Monsieur, I came here, you have to speak French to me." And I was like, oh. And then I clued in, you're from Quebec. Veux-tu des œufs? And you add a little and they're like, très bien. And they would clap and they would laugh. And then I would get, like, such a big tip for doing that. Whereas, so funny, like, some of the other waiters and waitresses, they wouldn't do something like that. They would just kind of snarl their eyes up and walk away. And I'm like, man, you got to make them laugh. You got to, like, give them a little something. And don't take it so personal, right? These guys are on vacation. They're probably half in the bag.
Exactly. And, you know, when you work in that type of an industry, you have to be the nice one. You're trying to get tips.
Yeah.
So if they want you to before, do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Do it all the time.
I think what got me my best tips, I have to say, was when Sue Taylor and I would be well known for our Salt and Pepper remixes on the stage. So what I would do is I'd always put our names down for a song, and let's say it was Wing Night or whatever it was, you know, and I'd be at the table just about to take an order, and then they'd call us up to sing, and I'm like, I tell the table I'll be right back, just a second. They don't know where I'm going, and then I'm up on the stage doing these crazy songs. My tips were through the roof. So maybe 90s hip hop is the answer, you know?
Yeah.
I always personally think it's the answer to everything. But yeah, those got me some great tips. I love that my daughter knows all the words to Ice Ice Baby, and I still follow that man on all social media. He is a king. And
Rob Van Winkle?
Vanilla Ice.
Yeah.
Hey man, where's your mother? Like, I mean, I just love that guy, and it's always my jam. I'll never get over it. I'll never be too old for it. And it's actually, I don't know if you heard about the 90s tour that they were doing across the province, and they did it in the States as well, but it's I Love the 90s. So it's like Tone Loc, Kid and Play, Salt and Pepper.
No.
All these other various artists that were just one-hit wonders after that, and then Vanilla Ice.
No
so
way.
I'm losing my shit, and I was going. So come to find out, when I called to place the order, the only one on the docket not coming was Mr. Ice.
No.
I didn't go.
No.
But I think that there had to have been a reason. I'm not sure what it was, but they also have these 90s cruises where you can go for a week straight, and that's the entertainment the whole time, or these artists. Wow. And I'm saving up for that right now.
That's awesome. Man, I don't know. My love for hip hop also comes from like the golden era, as they call it, which was like the early 90s. It kind of stops at like 95. That's about the end of it. But like that time.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, when Will Smith did Jiggy with it, that was the crash and fall of it all. That's when it just started to crumble. I kind of stopped listening after that point.
But it was a crowd pleaser.
It was a crowd.
You know, people liked it.
Hey, I danced to it.
I think what was so cool, I definitely danced to it. I probably did last week. But the point is that because it was Will Smith and everybody knows him from Fresh Prince, it gets the older people out on the dance floor too. So, you know, gotta take a little good with the bad.
Yep.
But I won't lie. A couple weeks ago, I went through a couple of days straight of Ja Rule and Ashanti. I don't know what was going on in my life exactly, but they got me through it.
Oh,
it was some good music, and it reminded me of some old times. And you know, there's something so amazing about putting on an album and knowing all the words, and it just like a floodgate of memories. I love that. There's
this really good YouTube mix, and it's like 2 hours of just the best 90s hip hop ever. And like weird, obscure shit I've never heard from bands that I recognized, and then, you know, all the popular shit too. But it wasn't too popular. It wasn't like the mainstream, like you said, like Ja Rule kind of stuff. It was like the classic early stuff. And it was really good. I mean, I can share that with you later if I could find it again. I'm sure
please do. Yeah.
I just did a search for golden era.
I love the 90s. Like, I could be a spokesperson for that era.
Oh, yeah.
I just can't help it. And I really love the band, the group. I think it's Clean Bandit. They do like a lot of remixes, and they have they're kind of like a house group, but they've got all these different things. Anyways, they've remixed a few 90s songs, and nothing can beat the original. Like, if you think back to like Rhythm as a Dancer and all these amazing like Euro club tracks that we heard when we were, you know, at teen dances or whatever. Yeah. But they've done some really good remixes, and I truly enjoy that. Yeah. I love that, because if I hear my daughter listening to her Spotify mix and it's like a remix of what I used to lose my shit over, it's so cool. Like, you know how music goes full circle like that.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I used to like kind of being like a music snob, which I've totally let go. Like I said, I listen to Katy Perry now.
Good for you. You gotta let that shit go.
You do, man. Good. You can't be all about it all the time. But yeah, I used to like get really pissed off when I would hear like an old beat from one of my favorite artists remixed into some bullshit today, and kids are like, "Yo, listen to this new jam. Shit is lit, fam." And I'm like, I'm like, no, that's not new. Yeah, it is. It just came out yesterday. And I'm like, yeah, but they took the beat from Cypress Hill from 1994, and then Cypress Hill took the beat from the Beatles, and Beatles sampled, and then just keeps going back. Beatles sampled Bach, Beethoven, and it never ends. But I mean,
it never ends.
Knowing all that information,
and that's how you keep those songs alive, right?
But knowing all that information hasn't helped me out in life one lick a bit.
No.
No, hell no. It's kind of like,
what is the point?
Just take it, enjoy it, or don't enjoy it. That's it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that's kind of a good.
Exactly.
That's probably a good theme for the whole show here. Is like, if you like it, like it. If you don't like it, don't like it. If you
don't, let that shit go.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Well, Melissa, it's been great speaking with you. Great catching up.
You too. Yeah.
It's been a blast. So,
awesome.
Yeah, thank you for doing this. It's great.
I'm glad that we were able to find a time that worked, and it was nice. I haven't heard your voice. Like, I mean, I've obviously seen your updates and everything on Facebook, but it's not so personal. So this was a little bit more personal, and I feel like we had a really good visit.
It was awesome. I would definitely be open to doing something like this again in the future.
Sounds good.
Cool. So I'm going to end it there, folks. It's been a blast.
Okay.
Peace, love, and light. Namaste, and all that other good noise. And we out. Goodbye. Okay, folks, that was Melissa Harvey with an awesome conversation. It's so cool to catch up with your friends like this in these candid conversations and sharing our knowledge with the world, all the stuff that's happened to us. This was truly one of my all-time favorite episodes I've ever recorded. And Melissa will definitely be back on the show again in the future. So we're going to end today off with a little show tune. And this is a track by DJ and producer Ill Havoc. And it's called They Wanna.
And all my dogs feel the vibe tonight, they wanna wanna wanna